Population of non-psychedelic people have had prophetic dreams, intimations, unlikely strings of coincidences, all of these sort of things. These are experiences which cultures deny. Cultures put in place, I'm sure you've heard this word, a paradigm. And then what fits within the cultural paradigm is accentuated stress, and what doesn't fit inside the cultural paradigm is denied, marginalized, argued against. And we live at the end of a 1,000-year binge on the philosophical position known as materialism.
Thank you for joining this call. Basically, what we're going to be talking about today, it's pretty specific, but we are going to get a little more general in terms of the overall market. But we're going to talk about VeChain, soon to be rebranding to VET, which is VeChain Thor Power. And if you've been in this group for any amount of time, you know how incredibly bullish I am on VeChain in general, and not just from the money-making perspective in terms of I do believe it's going to go up tremendously in value, but really, as far as I can tell, it's the only project that is actually going to be a real thing within months that really is creating a new economic paradigm. And we're going to cover a lot of stuff related to VEN. And if you want to follow along, we're also going to be looking at Binance, the VEN Bitcoin pairing, although we can also look at the Ether pairing too. And if I'm not mistaken, if you check the volume, now 16,000 Ether and 4,000 VEN. Yeah, so I mean, Bitcoin is more active. But essentially what we're going to be looking at is some of the things that continue to happen. And if you were here last week, you'll remember there were sufficient evidence of sell walls and price suppression. And I said, don't worry, if you missed the call, if you're not seeing it live, you'll be able to see it later. And sure enough, if you just go and check it out right now on Binance, you'll see a nice, fun 62 Bitcoin sell wall. That's 150,000 VEN at 41,411 Satoshis. And if we plug in 62 Bitcoin into our nice little US dollars converter, we will see that that is about $870,000 holding up VEN. But today we're not just going to talk about the actual price stuff related to VEN. We're going to talk about why am I nonstop talking about this? Why am I essentially shilling it every chance I can get? And, a skeptical person might say that I'm invested in it, so I have a vested interest literally into, hoping that it does well. But that's part of the reason. I think a better question to ask, if you think I'm talking about it all the time, why am I talking about it all the time if it's not just because I'm invested in it, is why am I invested in it so heavily? And so we're going to cover a lot of those things. So let's talk a little bit about what VeChain is, and why I am the way I am about it. So VeChain originated 2017. It's got a lot of, and if you want to look at coin market cap, and then go take a look at VeChain as I'm talking about this, so you can follow along, that would probably be useful too, because I'm going to be referencing some price history as well as some project history and partnership announcements that have happened and will continue to happen for VeChain this month and going forward. So what I'm talking about now is VeChain's been around since last year, right? So we're talking about the price pretty much staying between the 20 and 50 cents mark for the most part. And that 50 cents mark really wasn't even broken until December and November of last year, 2017. So it's been pretty static. There's not been a tremendous amount going on. So what is VeChain, right? It's a logistics now it's evolved a lot. I have to say that even since I've been investing in it and since December, it's really evolved tremendously. And there are probably holes in my understanding of what VeChain is. All right, I've only been looking at this for a few months, but I've really been looking at it. So what are they trying to do? So VeChain is trying to improve the ability of companies, specifically enterprise level companies, in terms of tracking and logistical shipping, right? So for instance, an original use case would be, let's say I ordered something from anywhere, right, online, and it gets shipped to me, but halfway through the shipping process, let's say it's going to take a few days, I don't need this thing anymore, right? Now, what's the normal process that happens there? I have to wait for the item to arrive to me, then I need to return it, right? This is a long and obviously not very efficient process, right? I get the thing I don't want, and then I have to send it back through the post office or a prearranged packing ship. I have to bring it there, or maybe UPS picks it up. So the idea is that VeChain would have these RFID chips, which basically allow any logistics operator to always know where a product is and be able to theoretically reroute that product to any other place. Now, I want to say this. There are two other major players in this space right now. One of them is Walton Chain, and one of them is Wabi. And both, I think, are legitimate projects. There's a lot of consternation between Walton Chain and VeChain. And truthfully, at this point, it's completely unfounded, because what I just explained to you in terms of logistics and shipping, Wabi and Walton Chain may do a better job of, but VeChain has evolved far past that original use case, and now is turning, quite frankly, essentially into a new economic paradigm. And that's weird to talk about, because we're talking about blockchain technology, and we're talking sometimes about Bitcoin and the overall market, and that alone is its own new economic paradigm. But VeChain is doing something incredibly unique, and I really, until I see something that is as enthralling as VeChain, I'm not going to probably stop talking about it. So what has changed from that original use case that I've said? Well, VeChain has always been adamant and vocal about wanting to use their blockchain and their mainnet. They're going to have their own mainnet. It is not, right now it runs off of the Ether platform. That is not going to continue after this year. In a few months, they're going to be launching their mainnet. Now, their mainnet, theoretically, from what they've been saying, can do 10,000 TPS. That's transactions per second. That is not the standard. Like, I think the standard for logistics and things like that, it's like 50. So they're going to keep it there for a while, but apparently it's very, very fast. So they're launching their mainnet. It's going to be completely independent of Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it's going to be their own thing. So what has changed? They've been talking about how they're going to be really making inroads into the counterfeiting realm, right? There's a way now with scanning and barcodes and RFID chips that you would not need to worry about counterfeiting. You get something, you buy it wherever, you scan it on your phone, someone scans it on your phone, 100% via their blockchain where it came from, where it goes, and its entire history. Think of it kind of like an immediate Carfax for whatever is going on with these RFID chips and whatever VeChain has implemented in a protocol. So now, how does this grow as a business? VeChain essentially has their own chain, but will also allow enterprise level customers to build their own chains. So let's say, for instance, let's use a little cheeky example, BMW. I'm saying cheeky because there's reportedly an NDA with the BMW, potentially GM, a very big company for partnering with VeChain and using their technology. So essentially, and I bring this up too because a lot of companies in the crypto space are very vocal about their partnerships and their announcements and making a really big deal of it and wanting to see their price go up. A wonderful example of this, and hopefully you're not holding any bags of it, is TRX, Tron. Justin Sun is Schillmeister 10,000. He will not stop talking about Tron. He has basically for months let it be leaked out that they're going to have a partnership with Alibaba. That partnership has not manifested to date. So I'm bringing this up as kind of this world, if you've been in here for a month or so in the crypto space, it's manic, right? It's fever pitched. It's something that people expect exponential growth all of the time. And really projects that just don't have anything yet, maybe they will in the future, are way overvalued and way overbought purely based on speculation. That said, there are tons of projects that are real things and about to be real things. And I know, you could say, well, some of those other things are about to be real things. Totally. There's a lot of projects I really love. I don't have confidence that they're going to come out. I have confidence that VeChain is going to come out because it's already basically out, and the people involved, who we'll get to later, like Sunny Liu, they ain't bullshitting. It's basically as simple as that. You can believe that it's a cult of personality and that there's all these indicators and people are just buying into something that also doesn't exist, but this will come out. Mark my words, and you're going to start to see why this is not just a coin or a token to own, but also a new economic paradigm. So here's what we're looking at right now with VeChain. It's going to not only serve the original use case for enterprises in terms of eliminating the risk of counterfeiting, improving logistics, and just generally trimming the fat out of most companies' logistical framework. In addition, if anyone is familiar with NEO, this is a really good comparison, VeChain in a lot of ways to NEO. NEO, if you're looking at the markets right now, is probably one of the only things that is up if you're holding it in your portfolio. NEO and gas is generated by NEO. You get it, basically a percentage of the NEO you hold is turned into gas, which is essentially free money if you want to sell it on the open marketplace, which is how the price is dictated for both. NEO, they launch their own ICOs on NEO. So what does that mean? Well, an initial coin offering, typically payments are accepted in Ethereum or Bitcoin, sometimes other cryptocurrencies, but those are the main ones. You put in a bunch, you get a certain amount of the coin later before it's listed on exchanges or is publicly available. This is a strategy we'll be talking about in this group quite a bit, but this is just commonplace now. Now, there's going to be regulation. There already is in the United States and a lot of other places with ICOs, so don't go nuts, but it is something that people are doing. Now, NEO is Chinese. It's a Chinese coin. It's a very interesting project. It originally was called Ant Shares. And I think if you're looking for a correlation between coins at this point, VeChain in a lot of ways is not totally dissimilar to what NEO is. In a lot of ways, it's different. And in a lot of ways, I would argue that it's significantly better and positioned better. But, they're not dissimilar. So here's what's happening with VeChain. They're going to be launching ICOs. However, these ICOs aren't going to be from unheard of projects who maybe are known in the tech space. They're targeting enterprise Fortune 500 companies. So imagine a Coca-Cola, imagine a Marvel Comics, something like that, launching their own token or coin, but on VeChain's or their own enterprise, but based on VeChain's own mainnet. And the only way you can buy in is if you give Ven or Thor, we'll talk about Thor in a second, to buy into the ICO, right? I mean, that alone would be enough for a coin to catch my interest. A lot of people are buying Dragon Chain for this very principle. Oh my God, it's Disney's blockchain. Well, how can it go wrong? That's a major player already entrenched within the media landscape. I agree. That's why it's on my list as a good hold. So VeChain, we've covered a couple things, right? It's now something that's going to improve logistics, has a real world application already, and potentially serves as a platform for initial coin offerings for Fortune 500 companies. And I'm not just pulling this shit out of my ass. This is stuff that Sunny Liu has spoken about in various videos and presentations and keynotes, and is fully expected. So what the hell is going on with VeChain right now? Well, one thing that just happened, which is why you saw the price kind of going up really fast, and then it took this little sideways turn, and right now we're hovering around, I don't know, between $5.50 and $6.50. We're at $5.67 right now. Satoshi-wise, we're looking at about 40,000, 41,000. So why? We're going so good. We knew about the price walls if you were in the call last week. We knew these things were happening, but what the fuck is going on? Well, they were in the middle of a rebranding. You've heard me mention Ven. Soon it's going to be VET, and VET is going to stand for VeChain Thor. And Thor is essentially going to be what powers their blockchain. So I'll get to exactly what that is, but this rebranding was supposed to take place basically in the next week or so. and it got moved back. Oh no, a horrible sign in the world of crypto. You moved it back. Not only did they move it back, they moved it back to February 26th, which is essentially might as well be, the 4,000s, the 5,000s year-wise. It's an unacceptably long amount of time for especially an active crypto trader to be in a coin that they don't really know anything about, that's going to take a month and a half before it gets pumped again. Just so you guys know, this is arguably one of the best things that could have ever happened right now if you're interested or already invested in VeChain. We already had price suppression happening with the whales, who are very much trying to accumulate as much VeChain as they can, and we'll talk about why. Why would they be trying to do that with VeChain relative to other things? I mean, whales could suppress prices all over the place, and of course they are, but not like VeChain. You won't see these sell walls pretty much anywhere else. I've looked. They're there for other coins, but not the way VeChain is. So why are they doing this? Why are they suppressing the price? Well, we talked about it a little bit, but VeChain is going to generate a new coin just by holding it in their wallet called Thor Power. And Thor Power is going to be what basically maintains the network, the chain. We're all going to be generating this if we have VeChain, VeChain. We're going to be creating Thor. And I'm going to now post in the voice text chat the graph, the unofficial guide to VeChain masternodes. So you can get, if you want to read afterwards or tune out while I'm talking, you can have an idea of what I'm talking about. So essentially, for every one VeChain you have, or for every 2,381 VeChain you have, you'll receive 1 Thor power per day, or at least 0.00042 Thor power for every VeChain, right? So what does this mean? It means that if you have enough VeChain, you're generating this Thor, which is used to power blockchains that are potentially run by Fortune 500 companies. Or we'll talk about some of the partnerships that just happened that will be used to power their blockchains and will be absolutely needed and necessary to maintain and continue a healthy network. So what the fuck does this mean? Why is this important? Why does it matter at all? Well, let's talk about one other thing before we get to that. The other thing I want to talk about is VeChain in December 30th revealed that they are essentially going to a masternode formula, a proof of stake formula. So what this means is if you hold more than 10,000 or more VeChain, which will be VeChain at the time, but VeChain now, you will be known as a strength node, which means that equation of generating 0.00042 Thor per VeChain per day means you actually get a 38.7% boost for having 10,000 or more per VeChain and Thor you're generating. So that's a significant, it's like basically a 40% increase in the amount of Thor you'd be generating. Furthermore, there's 3 other nodes above that. Thunder node, between 50,000 and 149,999, you generate 57% extra Thor. And a Mjolnir node, 150,000 plus, that's 75.2% Thor. And then the highest, which is the Thrudheim node, which I believe there's only going to be 101 of those total. And those are basically going to be for like enterprise level or just people with stupid amounts. You'll get that 75.2% plus you get a percentage, the Thor power forge, you get like a bonus based on all the Thor being used. Basically, it's insane. That's not for us, really. And if you look on that guide, you can see that the marketplace will dictate the price of Thor, and you can see various Thor valuations, how much you'd be generating per year. So a number to look at potentially is if, let's say, you have 10,000 or more VeChain. If Thor goes to $5, you're generating $10,402.50 a year. $25 if Thor goes to, that's $52,000 a year if you have 10,000 in the strength node. So we're talking about passive income. You don't have to sell your VeChain. Let's say VeChain goes up to $150. Yeah, if you have a bunch of it, you've made a lot of money, but you have to sell it to make that money. So this is really kind of where things start to get a little bit nuts and you realize that this is not a regular thing. If the value of VeChain goes up, if the value of Thor goes up, and this is needed for enterprise level blockchains, it's designed to go up. You know, the more companies that are running off this will need Thor power to maintain their blockchains, which are theoretically improving their business to the extent that they're making a lot more money than they were before. So this is crazy, right? This is essentially a model that is designed to make Ven and VeChain tokens more valuable. This is why I keep saying under $10, under $5, under $6, whatever. Yeah, it may seem relatively expensive when VeChain a month ago was 60 cents. But if we're looking at a $500 VeChain, if we're looking at a top 3 coin, maybe with a market cap of over 500 billion in a few years, that's pretty nuts. Also, VeChain seems to be kind of bubble proof, right? Let's say this is a bubble. Let's say this is something that this crypto space is just all speculation. It's totally overbought, and Bitcoin collapses, Ethereum collapses, Neo collapses, all of these huge major players. VeChain would still be around, right? If a blockchain technology is already integrated into enterprise level businesses, Fortune 500 companies, that is not going to be the end for VeChain. So what you're potentially investing in when you get VeChain is passive income with the masternodes, or just generating Thor. You're investing in a coin that is likely to go up, and we'll get to the forecasting in a second, and some of the partnerships that why I'm bullish on the forecasting. You're a coin that is likely to go up, and you're also potentially investing in something that is, we'll call it recession-proof, bubble-proof, correction-proof, because once these blockchains are up and running for big companies, it doesn't matter if Bitcoin goes to shit. It doesn't matter if Wall Street decides to get in and short everyone and shake all the weak hands loose. It doesn't matter. It's still going to be up and running. It's part of the reason my portfolio has steadily increased in Ven. And I'm not, all of my eggs aren't in one basket, but enough are that this is something that I think is going to be really big. And again, if going back to the comparison of Neo or Ant shares at the time, it was hovering around $7 to $8 for a really long time. I think right now, if we're looking at it, it's, what are we? It's the biggest gainer today. I think it's like $175 the last time I checked. And you also want to do some market cap, $180. You want to do some market cap research. So there's more Ven available. There's only about 250 or so, 280 million in circulation, but I think there's an 800 total supply. But you have to do the math on this stuff. The VeChain is not going to hit $500 this year. At least I don't think it will. I don't think the math adds up. But I do think we're going to be seeing some prices that are significantly higher than they are now. So let's talk about why I'm pretty bullish on some of the things that are going on. So a few weeks ago, VeChain Ven, they announced that they had a deal with DNVGL. This is a consulting company that deals a lot with infrastructure and logistics, and their revenue is $23 billion a year. Okay, great, whatever. Lots of companies partner with big multi-billion-dollar companies a year. Not really true, but let's just take it at face value. DNVGL, I believe, has 80,000 customers and clients. However, those customers are companies like Marvel. They're not like little rinky-dink mom and pop shops. These are huge, huge companies, and VeChain has a direct partnership with them, not some, association. They are working with them, and you better believe their services are being pitched to many, many movers and shakers. Furthermore, a huge deal was just announced with the largest cigarette manufacturer in China and in the world. Believe their revenue is $225 billion a year, and the main inroads VeChain will be making for them, running off their mainnet, and their technology will be the reduction of counterfeiting cigarettes, which is a huge loss for cigarette companies and manufacturers. And anyone who's lived in New York City knows you can get Lucy cigarettes that are no way are actual cigarettes. They're not even close. God knows what's in those things, but it's a really big opportunity. Now, thing to keep in mind with that, that's a great partnership. Yeah, it's a big deal. What will be powering those multi-million-dollar transactions a day or multi-thousand transactions a day? Thor power. It's going to be needed to run that blockchain. Okay. And buried in that announcement was a revelation that VeChain is also going to be working with the National Research Consulting Center, which is one of the largest consulting firms in China. And it is, again, not a small deal. In addition, VeChain, I mentioned this last time, already has regional and some national deals to improve logistics in China. And there are some other, depending on how you want to take it, connections to some very, very powerful financial institutions and government positions that seem, if you want to go and connect the dots, you don't have to do that yet, would bode well for VeChain's future partnerships. So let's talk about when can we expect some of this stuff to happen? When is Ven going to move? Okay, I'm convinced. You've shilled me for a long time already. I'm interested in Ven. How do I get it? When should I get it? What's the right price for it? Again, these are all subjective valuations. Like I said, a month ago, it was 66 cents. Today, it's, what are we at right now? $5.71. I will say this. If you're looking for an entry point on Ven, today is probably a pretty good day. Keep watching the price. I think a steal price is about 37,000 Satoshis today or next day or whatever it is. But do not expect these prices to hang around for long. There's a lot going on. People are, and we're going to dovetail into the general market and why this might be happening, but it's a pretty good entry point right now if you're looking to get in. And I also want to point out something. I have bought Ven, I think 6 or 7 times at an all-time high. The last time I did that, it's doubled since then. So remember, this stuff is relative. It's relational. That doesn't necessarily mean because it's an all-time high that you're getting ripped off. Maybe you could get a little bit more, a lot more if the price dipped the next day and you bought it then. But if we think the price is going to $20 this year, we think the price is going potentially to $50 this year, $6 doesn't seem that bad. So let's talk about where I think the price is going. I think in the immediate short term, we're still dealing with quite a bit of factors that are good if you want to get in, bad if you want to see your investment soar immediately. The first one, we spoke about it at the beginning. I spoke about it last week, that price wall. It's still sitting right there, right during this conversation, 62 Bitcoins worth. People do not actually want to sell 62 Bitcoins worth of Ven at 41.41. It's not where they want to sell it. They're trying to dissuade people from entering, because if you enter it right now at 41.32, you can't go that much higher. You're not going to make any money. It's going to take for a really long time. So if you're a quick trader, an active trader trying to capitalize on a bear market or a bear day, this ain't the coin for you, or especially it doesn't look like it is. Now, if you've been following Ven for the past month, you know that these sell walls are routinely eaten through. And again, why 150,315? Well, if you'll remember, one of those nodes starts at 150,000, right? Well, they just upped it while we were talking. Yep, they're fucking around. It was 79. They just added an extra 17 Bitcoin. That could have been the same person or someone else. Yep, they just added it, 79. They keep adding it and taking it away. They're just messing around. Basically, I think, this is going to continue to happen. This is a great thing and a bad thing. If you want your money on Ven really quickly and to rock it up, this is not the coin for you at all. If you're confident about the tech, the partnerships, the positioning, the ethos of the business, which I haven't even really gotten into, and the ability to attend, I don't know if I spoke about it enough. What we're talking about is something where you don't own stocks in a company. You own the company, right? You don't own a huge percentage of it, but what you are generating with Thor is needed by major companies running the blockchain, right? Ven's blockchain. So it's unprecedented, right? And that can also generate passive income for you for the rest of your life, which is also pretty cool. So like I said, I see a $10 Ven probably within a month. That could be conservative. I see a $20 Ven before the summer. I think optimistically, if we're talking about where we could be at the end of the year, $50 to $100. $100 would be, a pretty optimistic extreme, but these sell walls are artificially keeping the price down. Right now, if this price was allowed to fly and more people knew about it and there was less, fudding going on, I think we'd be looking easily at an to $10 Ven right now, conservatively, but that's not what's going on. So again, I used to hate the whales because they were not letting my investment go up in price. Now I'm really grateful for them. I want them to keep the price down. I want to be able to get other people into these positions. I want to increase my positions. So as long as it's below $10, I still think that's a good buy. I think if you're looking for like an excellent buy, try to catch it below 550 today or the next day. Hope someone dumps a lot to shake the weak hands that they're just buying them back up. I mean, what's happening now, what the whales are doing, again, we spoke about this last week, is they're keeping the price down and then buying in all these smaller denominations, right? So the order book on the left-hand side of Binance, if you go to just the green, so you can just see what all the buys are, so all these little small numbers everywhere, 7, 7, 7, 7, all these sevens, that's typically a bot buying back stuff for whales so they can not look like they're being hotbox and buying, 20,000 Ven. So this will continue to happen. I don't see any end in immediate sight for this. But again, if you're looking for an indicator that a coin is going to be valuable, look for price suppression. They're not suppressing it because they want you to be poor. They're suppressing it so they can get more at a cheaper price. And this is 100% going on. And again, even if you're not investing in Ven, you don't have the funds, or you're not sold, or you think I'm just too geeked up about it, whatever it is, pay attention to it. There's not a lot of coins right now that are being actively manipulated as much as this. You can learn a lot about the marketplace. You can learn a lot about what happens. You can watch fun things happen, like sell walls getting destroyed. That 62 Bitcoin sell wall, if the market turns around today a little bit or in the next week, that will get eaten away. And what you're going to see is it get boom, boom, lower. And then eventually the whale will pull it because they don't actually want to sell that much. Now, listen, there are people who bought in very low who are happy to sell at 400, 500% profit. I'm not indicating that everyone just wants to hold this to death, but what we're doing is we're bucking a general trend. The market, most people today and yesterday are not happy. Almost all the coins are in the red. Very few are even maintaining or gaining, especially. As it turns out, most of the coins that I have a majority holding are fine. They're gaining. So I'm talking about things like Ven, ICX, and Ven is down 15% today, but the last time we were buying Ven was a few days ago, and it's still above that. Those things are maintaining. ICX, we're going to talk about next week. Hopefully it's not way too late because it will rise in price. Their mainnet is launching the 24th. That's a big deal. The Korea ban for depositing and buying is over on the 20th of January. So that is a nice little dovetail into that. But yeah, I mean, essentially, like I said, Ven isn't going to move as fast. You're not going to see this moonshot. You're not going to see it go up 300% right away. I mean, I would love if it did. Of course, that would be amazing, but that's not what this is about. And yeah, you should have some plays in things that can do that, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the week about rebalancing portfolio, something I've been doing at least once a week, and it's paid a lot of dividends for me because I was overextended. And I think it's a natural tendency in this space where we, especially in December, see coins rocketing up. I mean, Rayblock's right up 30,000% in 1 month. When you see stuff like that, I mean, you want to throw a lot of little fishies out there. You want to play a lot of lottery tickets, and see if one can hit. But I don't think in this landscape, if we're looking at a more fundamentals-based approach, that really is a helpful thing to be doing for most of your coins. So we'll talk about that a little later. And then generally what I've been talking about with the market, just don't freak out. Don't sell at losses. And if you're in coins that are down and you don't know why you're in them, let this be a lesson. It's probably going to be a pretty painless one. If you hold on, you'll be able to sell at least at a break even, if not a profit. But I don't think it's really always a great idea to buy things you don't know why you're buying them. Just think if you were at like a store and you just randomly bought something because it was on sale. How many times do you do that? How many times are you at the grocery store and you buy something just because it's on sale? It's a shitty reason to buy something. It's not a good reason. Now, granted, if you bought the thing and it went up 10 times in value and you could sell it back to the store, you might be a little more interested. But my point is like, try to have some understanding and research as to what you're getting these things for. I think that prevents you from being in red with the rest of the market. Let's just look really quickly at CoinMarketCap. We're going to look in relative to Bitcoin price. Here's what's up today. Gas, which we spoke about. It's what Neo generates. Kyber Network just started taking a nice little upturn. Neo, which generates gas. Bitcore. Not really sure what Bitcore is. It just entered the top 100. Stratus, which has been called by a lot of signal groups and is actually a pretty interesting project. Experience points up slightly, but all these things I'm about to mention are up less than 10%, and this is typically after being down for quite some time. So, there's a way to essentially mitigate risk by investing in the fundamentals. Marketplace dynamics obviously have a huge impact on the valuation, but we're in a weird place with this. Not all of these coins are going to survive. Not all these projects are going to survive. Not even big ones that we know and love may be around in a few years. So that puts the pressure on us to find things that are going to make sense long term, if that's what we're doing, right? This is a holding strategy. This is an accumulation strategy. You may just be in this to turn $10,000 into $100,000 and then cash out. If that's your strategy, right? I certainly have a way for you to do that. It's certainly going to be more risky, and it's not even necessarily more risky, but you're going to have to do things a little bit differently than if you're trying to maybe make 10 million or 15 million over the course of maybe 3 or 4 years. That's a very different plan. Not saying you can't get there with multiple strategies, but it's just a different plan. Anyway, that is all I have planned. Looking at my notes, which are barely notes. Like I said, the Ven rebrand is going to be February 26th. That's a date to mark on your calendars. But just pay attention to VeChain. Some of you may know the Coca-Cola kid. This is someone who's purported to be a Ven insider, who's pretty spot on with every single partnership that has happened, and writes in cryptic 4chan-esque language on Twitter and Reddit. But, interesting stuff going on there. And like I said, I don't think VeChain is just a coin. I don't think it's just a token. I don't think it's just something that's going to increase in value. I don't think it's just going to be something that's utilized by enterprise level corporations. I think it is creating a new economic paradigm where we prosper and profit by having something of value that major players all over the world need. And I don't think this is a mistake. And I don't think the apotheosis, as they've been talking about the rebranding, is a small thing either. So that's my Ven chill for the week. If you have any questions right now while I'm still here, I don't have the audio recording for people, but if you want to pop in any question or comment in the voice chat text area, then I'm happy to take questions for a few minutes. Otherwise, I will get back to looking at VeChain. Any questions, put them in the voice chat text. Otherwise, thank you. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up then. That's it. Signals will be coming this week from my channel and other channels. Stay tuned for those. As a reminder, if you're listening to this and liked what you heard or got anything out of it, we got about 16 more days to get people into this group chat or this server, rather, the Discord server. Then it's going premium. I'm going to be revealing the prices for entry in February, but it's not going to be cheap. Also a reminder, if people want to do private one-on-one consulting sessions, I am offering those. I will tell you specifically what to get based on your investment strategy and portfolio. And I'm also doing setup. So if you just don't want to do anything, have accounts or need accounts, for a flat fee, I will get you set up. And those have been going well. And so far my clients are pretty happy. Question in there. So buy Ven whenever it's below 38,000. Listen, here's the deal. Sure. Yeah. Get it at 38,000 if it goes that low. Anything lower, I think, is a great deal. I can't guarantee that it's going to go to 38,000. There's a couple factors that would determine that. One would be is if Bitcoin's price rises significantly past where it was today in the low 1400s, the Satoshi value of Ven is likely to drop. People who are maybe trying to take quick profits in Ven, or have maybe doubled up on it even to this point, might start selling it, because it's better to move into Bitcoin if you think Bitcoin's going to go up to $20,000, $25,000. So I can't tell you the Satoshi price that's perfect. We've had some great technical analysis in here done by Keenan Yu, one of our oracles, who really called Ven's drop the other day, which allowed me to get in at a very nice price, even relative to today's drop. So I can't give a specific price in Satoshis. What I can tell you, anything under $10 is a good buy. I'm not saying it's a great buy right now. It'll look like a stupidly fucking can't believe it. Oh my God, how is it ever that price buy in the not too distant future? I mean, think about Ether being $9 last year. Who in here wouldn't buy 1,000 Ether at $9 knowing that it's $1,000+ today? All of us would buy that. We would figure out some way to borrow, beg, steal, barter, whatever we had to do to make sure we had that. Am I saying Ven is going to be $1,000? No, but here's not from JVC. I'll answer that question in a second. Yeah, but basically what I'm saying is that $10 will look cheap very soon. One thing that you just reminded me about KuCoin, there's arbitrage opportunities between KuCoin and Binance. Typically, KuCoin has Ven for significantly more expensive prices than Ven. Just be careful with that. The volume on KuCoin relative to Ven is significantly lower. So you could be sitting there with a sell order that no one is ever going to fill at your price. I do believe those arbitrage possibilities exist. I'm a little too nervous about moving something I value so much back and forth, but it does exist. We're going to cover arbitrage in the third talk this week. Rebalancing portfolios is next. So JVC, not Ven specific, but thoughts on why KuCoin coins are all deep in the red. Really, there's a few things here. One is the KuCoin shares was a big kind of frenzy, especially last month, a little bit this month, where you're essentially getting dividends and shares from not only your referrals, but from all of the volume that's done on KuCoin. So this was seen as like an easy way to make money if you went in there, bought some stuff, but had some KuCoin shares, and you're just going to continuously go up. Well, I still think that's relatively valid, especially if you're looking at something like BNB's coin. I think that's kind of died off a little bit. It's not the amount of volume going back and forth on KuCoin isn't going to be the same when everything's in the red as when everything is moonshotting. DBC is going up 10,000. That shit isn't going to happen as much. So I think that's probably something to do with what's happening with KuCoin. But generally, everything is in the red. I think KuCoin, at least as for me as an exchange, was where I originally got Dragon Chain, and also some of my more speculative coins, some of the coins that maybe I was in because I thought they could go up a lot rather than having maybe the most solid tech or projects behind them. And I think, the more you think about what you're in when everything is down, the easier it is to maybe be like, maybe I should pull this out and put it somewhere else for now. So I think that those both could be valid explanations as to why KuCoin coins are so deep in the red. But, it's a down market right now. Find some stuff that isn't down heavily and, examine those and try to determine why those aren't down instead of trying to figure out why everything else is down. And I was talking about this a little bit in the All Signals group today. Speculation is great when trying to figure out what's going on with the market. We're trying to figure out the Korea stuff, the China stuff, the, wire transfer stuff, the impending regulations potentially. Speculation is good. It's good to flex your speculative muscle, but if it's not leading to specific actions or conclusions that are going to benefit you, don't waste your time. To me, it's kind of like conspiracy theories, right? Like, I don't not believe that aliens exist, but I don't actively believe that, people are constantly trying to suppress the knowledge of extraterrestrials. Maybe they are. I'm not even saying that they aren't. I can't think about that shit, right? I'll believe what I think and move the fuck on. I kind of think that's where you have to end up if you don't really know what's going on in this space. We could say it's Wall Street influencing the price. We could say it's Asia trying to keep the price down. So when Korea opens back up, they can buy cheap Bitcoin. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I haven't met anyone who knows. There are going to be a ton of people out here trying to pitch you on their ability to understand a market when it's doing something that no one understands. All they're doing is making sure they're getting paid when the market is down. What I remind everyone in this group, and one of the reasons I'm really happy about this group and the way it's turned out, we're trying to do this together. We're trying to make sure we don't get caught in shitty situations. We're trying to make sure that we're not just paying people to tell us exactly what to do and then we're going to do that. That only works for so long, right? You're going to have to find someone who is kind of luckily, I think this group is going to be pretty good, but that's a tough thing to basically rely upon. So what we're really going to be doing in here is trying to give you the skills to understand the fundamentals, which would potentially make you invest in coins or get you to invest in coins that are kind of bulletproof. Ven is bulletproof, I say, not because it can't ever go down. Look, it's down 15% today. But if you look at the trend and where you're buying at, and if you bought in yesterday and you're down 15% already, if you know that you're invested in a good coin, you just take a break today, see if you can move some stuff around and get some more on the cheap rather than be like, should I sell this? I'm down 15%. I certainly don't want to be down 30%. I don't want to be down 50%, which is why sometimes when I move into speculative coins, I get the fuck out right when I start losing money. If I get a bad feeling about something and I don't know why the fuck I'm in it and it starts going down, I get the fuck out sometimes. Not all the time, but that knowledge about what you're investing in mitigates bad decisions often. Not all the time, but often. So that's kind of a long and rambling explanation for why I think KuCoin is kind of experiencing a big downturn right now. Any other questions for the next 10 minutes? I'll leave it open until I go do fun stuff. You can just type them in the voice chat text. I see you're typing, JVC. Yeah, and basically, if you have any other questions when these chats aren't going on, the crypto questions is a great place to put them. A lot of people in here have learned very quickly, and so they'll probably be able to help. And the other thing I'm going to be putting in the chat is signal requests. So if there's something you want someone to look at, one of our oracles, you can put it in there and you can say, okay, can you look into this? It's something I'm thinking of investing in, or I got a signal for it, but I don't really know what it is. That's another way to do it. Caleb, I see you typing. How close am I to getting a Ven tattoo? I'll have no tattoos ever. Just because I don't need a tattoo. I'm not that type of guy. But in terms of how insane I am about Ven, I'm getting mental tattoos all over my psyche at every single point in time. I just listen. Here's the thing. Like, I'm investing for other people. Getting them positions. Majority of the time I'm putting them in Ven. I mean, if someone says to me, hey, I just want to make sure that this is up in a year. I just want to make sure it's up in 3 to 6 months. There's a few other coins. Like, for instance, let's talk about one I'm down in today. I don't want to give the impression that none of my alts are bleeding. Salt's bleeding like a motherfucker. But I don't have salt because I'm trying to gain Satoshis in it. I don't have salt because I'm trying to flip it. I have salt because I'm trying to get a fiat loan that I can pay back off in salt so I can essentially cash out of crypto and not have to cash out any of my portfolio. So there's a completely different function for salt in my portfolio. Otherwise, I would have dumped that shit a long time ago, take the small loss, reinvested it, probably doubled up, at least gotten like a 50% return on it and been happier. I could do that anyway with my plan, but I don't want to get burned. I don't want to sell salt. The loans start getting processed. It doubles in price and then I lose my arbitrage possibility. So just like I said, there's always a reason, or there should always be a reason that you have different assets in your portfolio, and you should know what those are for. It's just otherwise, like, man, you're just getting tossed around in the ocean when things get wild, and that is not as fun. I mean, maybe you need a submarine sometimes to dip under the waters when they're getting rough and chill out under there for a little bit. That to me is what Ven is. It's my little submarine. So, all right. That's it for this talk. A reminder, on Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be having a talk about rebalancing your portfolio. If there was one talk that I would say you do not want to miss, and I will record that one as well, it's that one. That has saved me more money and more headaches and made me more money than any other strategy so far, besides just investing in Ven. But seriously, like, I routinely get overextended in coins, especially during a rampant bull market where everything is going up. The tendency to put $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $5,000 on things because they may go up 10 times really is tempting, which is fine to do. But after the dust kind of settles and you see what's happening and you recognize where you are, rebalancing your portfolio, i.e. taking a look at what you have and, putting it more into something else or pulling out of a position completely at least once a week, I think is mandatory. So we'll go over some strategies related to that. And then Friday at 12:30, we are going to have a talk on exchange arbitrage, which is basically when you find something in an exchange that's a cheaper price somewhere and then move it to another exchange where it's more expensive and you get the difference. And there are a lot of these opportunities all over the place. But we'll talk about some of the risks and, some of the unique ones. We spoke a little bit about salts last week. So that's it for now. And I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you in the chat, basically right now. So that's it. Thank you guys.